Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another Boruto 2 Blue Vortex discussion for Chapter 15. And today, I want to talk to you guys about why Boruto's fear of karma being confirmed without a shadow of a doubt in this last chapter was the best thing to happen for Boruto's character and the direction that the story is taking. And most importantly, it has fixed a crucial element of Boruto's character, because the whole Wonder Kid with no weaknesses argument, it is completely in the trash now. For all intents and purposes, you should consider this a follow-up to the 27-minute video that we dropped here on the channel Friday night and a prelude to the video that is scheduled for next week, depending on whether or not the sponsors cleared the video. But you can watch this one without having seen the prior video, though I will leave it in the description box because I strongly suggest watching that. So some of the concerns you might have that don't get raised in this video, they have been addressed in the other video that I previously mentioned. So when we look at the reveal regarding Boruto and the whole situation with Momoshiki, we learned that Boruto is indeed afraid of using the power of karma, and he has been afraid of karma for a few years now, which makes total sense and makes him freaking out so much in 2 Blue Vortex when karma did cut on such an immense payoff. So he was someone who never asked to have this alien power given to him, and from the very moment he got the power, it was something he knew on an instinctual level to be deadly afraid of. For Boruto, what should have been a moment of feeling pride, successfully fighting alongside his beloved mentor Sasuke, his father Naruto, and his father's peers, the Boruto Kage, to defeat this all-powerful enemy who threatened the existence of the ninja world. It went from a 12-year-old boy feeling pride and having a new appreciation for the values of hard work to suddenly being ready to face the very creature that he thought he helped vanquish, and he had to do so under terrible circumstances because he stood there completely alone. His father and the other Kage, they were frozen in time, and while Sasuke was aware of what was going on, Sasuke chose to watch from afar, pretending to be frozen to observe Momoshiki since he could see what transpired with his Rinnegan eye. Between the ominous prophecy and Sasuke later on telling Boruto he had every right to be afraid of what happened because this was more than a simple curse mark, and it was something that even Sasuke himself told Boruto he was unaware of what would happen next for his student, which is why he told him keep him updated if there's ever a development with this karma seal. This became a dire situation for Boruto. For Boruto, in the back of his mind, the fear of the karma seal, even when he didn't know what it was or what it was that was happening to his body, where each passing second, a small piece of himself was being overridden by Momoshiki and being erased. That fear, it was there because Boruto understood enough to know he had an apex predator staring in his face and had been warned that bad times were coming. And even though this was his first real taste of true combat, deep down in his soul, Boruto knew Momoshiki's words, they weren't just talk, and by the time karma began to flare up on its own against Shojoji, and he saw how freaked out Shojoji was, it told Boruto all he needed to know about how right those fears that he had and Sasuke had truly were. Think of it from this perspective: a boy who had only known a life of privilege in an era of peace where he had zero of his needs unmet, a loving mother, a father that worked hard, a doting aunt, and even more doting grandfather. He had his physical wants ready to be met in abundance. From spending money on trading cards to video games to Thunderburgers, for him to know that all of that was being in danger of being wiped away, it was enough to clip away at his soul very slowly. And as he trained with Kawaki and he saw how there were others who wanted that vast amounts of power that was inside of him, wanted his body for reasons that he didn't know and understood, and he saw how there are people who could physically challenge his father in taijutsu, and then to be flat out told by Boro he was a target. It was a sheltered worldview being shattered in real time for Boruto at a rapid speed. He was aware of his body being taken over, even though he had no real memory of it, only fragments, and it scared the daylights out of Boruto as a result, as it should. As more time progressed, the hijacking of his body, the violation of his body by the alien parasite that put himself deep inside of Boruto, it began to get even more frequent. First, it was to kill Boro, a threat who was being posed to his friends, a necessary evil if you will. Then it became Momoshiki destroying his sensei's Rinnegan and trying to kill his brother Kawaki by feeding him to the Ten-Tails. Then it transformed into Momoshiki taunting him after Boruto clinged to the hope that the Byakugan drugs would suppress Momoshiki, that Boruto could have a normal life and escape from Momoshiki for a boy who was too scared to go to sleep before he got those pills, not unless he was in his father's arms, only to have Momoshiki spit in his face and then, this time, be able to take over his body when Boruto wasn't running low on chakra, making Momoshiki more dangerous than ever before. Momoshiki then attempted to capture Kawaki and even attempted to kill Boruto's own father with Boruto's own hands because Naruto refused to fight his son. Then he had to suffer with Momoshiki gaslighting him in the time afterwards, manifesting to mess with his mind, and even had to be ready to kill Boruto's friends by hijacking his body, and was in the process of getting close to full control of Boruto in that moment before Sasuke saved him. Boruto was truly tormented. A scared and confused boy who had just lost his parents, had his life stolen, and was being hunted down by the very people who he loved and grew up with. Everything had been taken away from him. The blue eyes that Momoshiki warned him about, eyes that belonged to Ada, had finally taken everything away from him, and yet here he was, as we would learn in the last chapter, faced with an enemy in code, fighting a losing battle that his sensei Sasuke flat out told him they stood no chance at winning, and Boruto had a broken sword during that battle, showing a glaring lack of skill. Now we learn, at some point during that fight, Boruto did attempt to use Karma, showing how desperate the situation was against base Code, who wasn't even using his Karma seal. Yet when he tried to use Karma, for the first time ever, Boruto, we saw him using dark language to refer to the power of Karma. Boruto described what happened during that moment not as being like a fog like before when Momoshiki took over. It started that way, where he was aware of what was happening but not in full control and still able to somewhat fight back. But this time, he described it as feeling himself dying, and worst of all, fully conscious that part of himself was dying in the process. Just as Momoshiki warned him when Momoshiki was gaslighting, saying that the next time Momoshiki gained full control, he'd be the one in the driver's seat and that Boruto would only exist in a small corner of his mind, tormented. And we now know it's because of their minds and spirits merging together that this was taking place. Momoshiki, for all intents and purposes, exists inside of Boruto's DNA, and Kawaki, someone who is more experienced with Karma than Boruto, knows more about Karma than Boruto. Even Kawaki looked alarmed by what it was that he heard Boruto say, flat out saying that it had gotten worse in the last 3 years, and that is an understatement. If this were a DEFCON measurement in the Naruto world, which for those of you guys who do not know how the ratings work in real life, DEFCON 5 is everything is normal business and DEFCON 1 is a nuclear attack level threat. Boruto, based on what he's telling Kawaki, he's at DEFCON 3, which is being prepared for above normal measures, ready to mobilize to eliminate a threat within minutes of it becoming a problem. He flat out told Kawaki that while he is himself, he is still scared of Karma, and if it ever comes to it and Momoshiki hijacks his body, he's not going to be able to control himself, and that Kawaki needs to kill him, no hesitation. It's a massive jump from DEFCON 3 to DEFCON 1, where it's the worst possible scenario at hand, because at this point, Momoshiki is moments away from being able to harvest a chakra fruit, because he likely is able to overpower Kawaki when it comes to this. That's exactly why this is so important. Look at how strong Boruto is right now currently without ever having used the Karma seal. He's already above Jigen despite all of that, which means he's above Naruto and Sasuke from Boruto Naruto Next Generations. Now you add in the power boost that comes from the Karma seal, as well as the full manifestation of Momoshiki's horn and Momoshiki's consciousness and complete control. That makes Boruto, who's already scary as he is, and it makes him the nightmare of legends that is so unstoppable that 1,000 years later, people will refuse to believe that someone this terrible ever existed. Make no mistake, Boruto would be unstoppable with Momoshiki in full control of his body, but don't take my words for it, take Sasuke's words for it. Sasuke flat out told Boruto that if he were to master everything Sasuke taught him, Boruto would be unstoppable. Now you add in 2 years of training under Kashin Koji with 10 directions and how super advanced Boruto got from learning all the jutsu and skills and knowledge of all the Borutos from all the possible timelines that never came to be. This is Momoshiki getting control of Prime Boruto. Rasengan Uzahiko is a jutsu that in its baby state, not even near full power, was able to shake the planet and bullied a beyond Jigen level fighter. At near full power, it left Hidari with only his head and part of his chest and one arm. Momoshiki would have that, and based on what we saw when Momoshiki took over Boruto prior, he saw the benefits of the compression Rasengan and made the Rasendan to eliminate the weakness of damage in the body from the Rasengan's recoil in the compression state, and shooting it out like a bullet not only takes away the damage from the user, but the added speed of it being shot like a projectile allows for more damage at a faster clip because it is a ranged attack. Momoshiki's high battle IQ made real-time adjustments. Imagine Momoshiki being able to combine Purple Lightning and the Rasendan with Boruto's Flying Raijin Jutsu and any of the other techniques that Boruto knows and can use, or even Momoshiki's own techniques that Momoshiki could use while controlling Boruto. Boruto might have powered up with the intention of fighting someone as strong as Jura and to save the world that his father and his sensei fought so hard to save multiple times over. But the trade-off is that it's a two-way street between himself and Momoshiki. While Boruto is in control, he's humanity's greatest savior, its greatest asset. Someone who posts omnipotence, people will tell stories of Boruto the Great, the one-eyed wonder kid, Thunderburger eating phenomenon who fought off evil space boogie monsters. But when he loses control, he has the chance to become the very thing that Hagoromo told Naruto that Kaguya eventually became. Someone who the populace, they feared for how powerful she was and how cruel she was. Because the power, it corrupted her. The internal conflict of what we have right now with Boruto's character, where the kind-hearted boy is having to carry such a large burden on his shoulders, go so long without ever having a reason to smile, to have lost so much sleep with this burden on his shoulders the last 3 years, all because he knows he's one failed moment away from becoming a monster. It makes Boruto's struggle and his hero's journey one that has more stakes to it because he's so close to coming off of the deep end here, and he knows it, he dreads it, he is scared, he is terrified. For all intents, he is alone right now. Just as Momoshiki told him, he would lose everything. Boruto is on his own, having only his brother Kawaki to trust that he can save him if it ever comes to it, because he can't put that burden on anybody else. And yet, in spite of this, despite being alone, as Sasuke told Boruto at the end of part 1 of Boruto, that Boruto would have to learn the lessons that Naruto learned when Naruto was alone, and slowly being able to invite people in to love him. Boruto's having to reclaim so much that was taken away from him, and yet at the same time, that monster power inside of him makes Boruto a threat to the very people that he's trying to regain their love. It makes the tragedy of Boruto Uzumaki the story that is almost as captivating as the editing in the chapter 15 review, which you can click here on the left side of the screen if you've not seen it just yet, or you can check out my newest anime explain video where on that channel I discuss non-Naruto content.